developing the BSH guidelines is a really important function of BSH, and we develop UK guidelines to guide both clinical and laboratory practice. And we are very aware that these guidelines are highly valued, not just within the UK, but also by an international audience. So we have 4 task forces. That's general hematology, hemostasis and thrombosis, hemato-oncology, and transfusion. And we produce a suite of guidelines. We undertake extensive literature search to support the evidence-based guidelines, and this is funded literature search. And based on that, we develop recommendations for clinical and laboratory practice. But we're very aware that there are plenty of areas of practice where there isn't that much evidence. But as clinicians, it's really quite important to have some guidance. And here we try and derive a consensus viewpoint, and this is what we call the good practice paper. The third format of guidelines that we produce, we're very aware, reaching outwards to international groups. We don't want to duplicate anything that anybody's doing out there. So where we're aware of high quality evidence-based guidelines, we are going to produce a BSH position paper to summarize how we could adapt those international guidelines for use in this country. We've got an excellent output. It's been really quite gratifying reviewing the number of guidelines we produced in the last year since the last annual scientific meeting in Liverpool. There's about 14 or 15 guidelines that have been produced and published. And I think that's a huge amount of activity by the task forces, and we should be celebrating that. That's absolutely fabulous. All our guidelines are published in journals, and we have a particularly strong relationship with the British Journal of Haematology. And I think this is really important for the journal as well, and we recognize that the guidelines are actually well utilized, they're downloaded, and they're cited as well. I think going forward for us, the challenges are, we've strengthened our process. We need to apply that in a standardized fashion. We are providing more robust project management for all guidelines because we are aware that the guidelines should be produced in a timely fashion. People expect that. And I think we're increasingly recognizing it's not just enough to produce the guidelines. We now need to be looking at implementation. So I think that's a piece of work going forward. We'll be looking at more, developing tools to actually help clinicians implement guidelines. So for example, here we're working with the Royal College of Pathologists already. We produce an audit template for the guidelines, which the College of Pathologists then promotes as part of their quality improvement activities. And increasingly, we'll be working with the British BSH Education Committee to develop educational tools. And we'd love to hear from the BSH community as to what tools they would like us to produce. So for example, more podcasts. We're thinking of producing questions linked to guidelines. And here, I think trainees can get involved, and we want to encourage trainees to get involved in some of those activities. In terms of how we involve the wider BSH community, I think there's real opportunity. We rely on our various colleagues to suggest topics that we should be producing guidelines for. When we have vacancies in our task forces, we put that out, and there is in fact a vacancy currently. People can join writing groups depending on their interest and expertise. And we need lots of people to be part of the sounding board. We rely on the wider BSH community to make sure that they tell us whether our guidelines are appropriate, fit for purpose, and we really need that engagement. So I think the whole of the BSH community can get involved. So the guidelines are very much part of the BSH is a parent organization. So on the website, there's a clear guidelines section. Our process is there, available, open access to have a look. All the guidelines are open access. And within different sections, it will be evident how you can submit a proposal and indeed how you can join the sounding board. So, and there's a contact details there for our administrator. So any questions, people can come forward and ask us. I think the guidelines are important, not just in terms of guiding current practice, but the process by which they're developed, because we're doing a comprehensive literature review, that also helps to identify research gaps. So within the guidelines, we can make recommendations for clinical practice, but where there are gaps, we can also recommend research initiatives to be undertaken.